Okay, now this is the approach with the halter. I always present that halter out in front of me like that. I never try to hide the halter. I never put it down by my side. I present it to him just like that, let him leave, so I can start that motivation all over again here. I'm just using the end of my halter shank to motivate him again, so that this first push is going to be short again, just one circle. Just see if I can get him to drop his head. But I'm starting to, get that send with the acceptance again. There we go. And what else I'm teaching here is you can see my body angle to send him, and then when I'm going to approach him, I just pivot like that. So I'm at a whole different angle. So I always show them that if I square up to them and put my belly button at their eye or between their eyes, I'm never going to send them, and I want them to be cold as ice, like I can run to them and they don't move. That's what I'm trying to start right now, and I'm going to progress to that. So they know when I face them, I can run to them and they don't move. But if I adjust my beam behind him or in front of him, I want them so sensitive that I can almost blow on them from 30 feet across the pen and have them move. So it's just, teaching those lessons just makes it so much easier to do advanced lessons. And I always use like a lope departure or a canter pirouette as my analogy there, because that's what it's like. They need to be really quiet and wait, but have enough life and impulsion that it takes very little effort to get them to do either one of those maneuvers. To do a collected lope departure, they have to be super soft in my hands, super soft off my seat bone, and have enough impulsion to think about going into a lope by just stepping into it versus lunging into it. And I'm talking about those advanced maneuvers right here, guys, because I'm working on those advanced maneuvers right here. That's the more I finish the horse, when every time I finish a horse in my life, when I finish one to a higher level, I always go back. It allows me to go back and critique and perfect lessons moving forward, because the less you teach, the easier it is, the faster you get there, the less wear and tear it is on your horse. I don't want to have to wear their joints out trying to teach them, them advanced maneuvers. And, it's proven that we don't have to. We can get there. And it's not about getting there fast, but it's about getting there with the least amount of resistance. And fast is better because of the least amount of resistance. But don't think about it as getting there fast. That's just what happens. Now you can see me inch by inch with this halter. I just wanted to let you guys see that it's kind of boring. That's why I'm talking about other things, but you can see how small of increments I'm going. Once I just put it over his nose and go up a little further and then hold for a few seconds and take it away. So this is all on the approach, guys, and the approach is just going up to him, add another little level, and go away. Now, when we get to obstacles, you guys will see that it's basically the same thing. Instead of bringing the fear to him, I take him to the fear. But if I was going to clip him or fly spray him or any of those things, it's all kind of the same idea. I'm going to bring it to him and cause movement, or let him, once I got a halter on him, I can just let that fear of the fly spray or a clipper cause movement in his feet until he stops his feet, and then I take it away. So this taking it away is going to go on for a long time. If I'm on the ground with obstacles and he's afraid of something, if I just take him away, mark the ground how close I got to it, turn around and go back to it, if he gets closer, that's all I got to do is just keep going away, and he'll get closer on his own, just by building his own confidence. So always remember, when you hear me talk about approach and retreat, it's either taking the fear to him and taking it away, or taking him to the fear and taking him away in the future. So you can see that with just that little bit more, and it wasn't much, but I just lifted on him a little bit more and turned away, was enough that he blew out of there. But it's important that he has the freedom to blow out of there. Right now, I've roped lots of them. I could rope him, put a rope on him and catch him and hold him and restrain him and put that on him. But I find I have to go through this anyway, right? I have to go through this in the end anyway. But all roping him does and putting it on there, it allows me to fast forward some things, in the learning. But some of those key lessons I talked about, having them separate from pressure, having him learn that I can keep moving him and motivate him till he lets me catch him. Those lessons are really hard to replicate after you've had a rope on him and caught him, because there's nothing more frustrating than going to catch a horse out in them big pens, as you can see behind us there. All of those pens are big paddocks with 5 or 6 horses in them. And if you have to walk to that far paddock and chase one down, you better have your runners on. It's just going to take you a while. But I found that you can cheat. There's lots of different things you can do. You can have a grain bucket and shake them. I used to train them all the time to a whistle, and they'd come to the gate for a grain bucket. But they start figuring that out right away. And when you don't have the grain bucket, then it's a new story. And you take them to a new place, it's a new story. But this teaching that I'm doing right here has way more effect than just catching them, right? But this is what I'm working on right here. This approach is the catching lesson. And as you can see, I will spend a long time teaching that lesson. And usually, when I was a kid, there wasn't a catching lesson. We just cornered him. That was the catching lesson. You either cornered him or you roped him. And I think a lot of people are the same. They take their time catching them, but it's all just being quiet and slow. There's no motivation, because that is the key to this lesson. I want you to understand is the patterns will show when he's losing progression, which gives me an opportunity to start motivating. Because if you don't put the motivation in your catching program, you're going to be frustrated down the road. And it's going to be when you got, maybe a couple of months, maybe 3, 4 months of training on him, and then they start coming apart. And now going back and putting them lessons on him is a lot harder. So he's kind of at a standstill. He's not letting me get any closer. So this next time he leaves, I'm going to pick up the lunge whip and start working on some outside turns. And now I'm just going to go back into the approach and see if he'll let me get more progression with that approach. Yeah, much better. Okay, I just want you to see after that outside turn, by putting that control on him and teach him the control of the outside turn, only one direction, how much more solid he is to let me progress with that halter. Very, very powerful. So it's just when you think of the approach, it's a series of patterns that allow you to progress step by step into what you're trying to get them to do. And the more fearful the horse and the more fearful the thing is you're trying to get him to do, the more steps you have to have. So if you go in small steps, you can see exactly when you need to start motivating him and break it apart and motivate for each step, and try not to skip steps. Stay where you're at and progress inch by inch. Um, so you can see right there, he let me put it on. I'm just going to walk away and give him a break and just keep going back up to him. But I really, like I said, I got that halter out in front of me. I'm going to start stepping beside him a little bit so that I can pick it up from the side. He feels really solid there now. I can feel that he's really made a decision to stand and let me do more. So that's the first time I put my hand over his head, over his neck, because I'm going to have to do that before I halter him, before I do it up. And I can't stress this next point enough, is you do not want to have that halter up on them and then decide to go do it up. And if he starts to leave, try to hold him, right? I'll talk about that more when I get to that point, and you'll see that, like, you have to let them go. If you try to hold them, you're going to create a big problem. So you never want to commit to holding that, trying to hold them there with any kind of pressure until that halter is done up and you're ready for the fight you're going to get, because the first time you try to hold him, it's going to be a bit of an explosion. And you got to be ready for it. And if it's going to be into the restraint pressure mode once we get down there. So it'll be in your next modules to come. But I just like to talk about it right here because a lot of times when you're approaching them, it's so tempting to, when they go to leave, to just hold them with your hand. Like right there when he went to leave, it'd be so tempting to push. And it's very important that he didn't feel me try to hold him at all. He can feel right there, you can see he feels like he's trapped a little bit. So see, that's the first time I put that rope around there and he feels trapped. So you can see when he's, you can see him, see how I take my arm off and give him that exit. And when I go to put my arm over there, he can feel it doesn't get stronger. I never try to pull him because that will cause him to leave more. And maybe some like see like right there, he was able to back out of that real easy. I'm just letting this roll because I think it's important to see the time frame that it takes. So this step right here was a tough one, so I just keep working on it. See how I dropped it as soon as he left. And he's able to let me talk him through it, right? He's only leaving a little bit, and once he realizes he can leave, it's not such a big deal. I can let him leave. This halter is we couldn't find the yearling halter, so this halter is a standard size halter, so it'll still work because it fits him correctly still, but it just there's a lot of slack underneath his chin, which doesn't really matter too much. It may have helped when we get to the restraint pull. You see when he wants to leave? And I just let go of it. Let go of it. There we go. So we're coming to the end of this lesson, guys. So that's basically it. I just do it up and I'll show you the rest of this lesson when we get to the halter lesson in your modules to come. Okay, take care, guys.